Get Gutsy, episode number 135 with Alionka Polanco on Obey Your Own Authority. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey y'all, Jenny here. Woo! Rocking and rolling. Welcome to May. Yeah, can you believe it? We're in May 2017. It's happening. And how are you? How are you? Things are moving what feels like quickly, but that's just what it is. Oh my gosh, and I just realized we are officially in my birth month, my birthday month. I am turning 40 on May 23rd, and it's all hitting me, and it's just big and exciting, and wow, 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 wow. So this episode goes live on May 2nd. On May 5th, I am getting on a plane and I'm heading to India. That is right. I'm going to India for about 2 weeks for an amazing journey and voyage and everything. And I will share nuggets from my trip on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and if we work together closely, I'll really share them with you. It's going to be just wow. It's hard to put into words, and I'm going to be doing a solo episode. I haven't done one in a while, but I'm going to do one. Um, it's going to air on my birthday, which is a Tuesday, which is when we publish our episodes on Tuesday, May 23rd. That's my intention. If who knows what's going to happen when I'm in India, good things. But my intention is to have this episode airing on my birthday, and I think I can pull that off, and it's going to be really, really good. I've got a very powerful theme planned, and so stay tuned for that, okay? And this month, we got some amazing guests that you're going to hear from. Awesome, very juicy conversations. So we got one good for you today. Real, real good. But listen, before I tell you more about her and open it up, I want to make sure you know that for the first time in a few years, I am running a live edition of my very popular course called the Tribe Building Bootcamp. We have had more people go through this course than any other of our offerings, and for the last maybe like year or so, we've been, we have a great, what's called like an evergreen course in the industry where you can sign up and you go through it, on your own. You go through the material, you go through the content, and our people love it. And what I decided to do was hot on the heels of our Tribe Building Challenge this round, and just the fact that I'm turning 40, and I just was like, you know what, I want to do this. I'm going to lead the Tribe Building Bootcamp in a live version, which means there'll be group coaching calls with me. We're going to have a Facebook group open for the period of time that the boot camp is going on. There's some really juicy bonuses. We're taking the experience to another level, and I've upgraded the content that needed some enhancing, and it's just like gone to a whole nother level. And I want to make sure that you know about it and invite you to come in and play with us, because we having fun. We're doing it. It's all about growing your audience, business, and confidence. And I'm just breaking down what it is to be a tribal leader and to grow your business online as a spiritual healer, as a creative, as a coach, as the teacher of the thing that you came here to spread the word on, your transformation that you bring out. So you can go to jennyfennig.com/tribe. That's jennyfennig.com/tribe. Get in on that. The doors close super, super soon. It's like a short enrollment period. So if you go there and we have a wait list, get on the list and we'll let you know the next time we offer it up. But if you get in and it's open, come on in. jennyfennig.com/tribe and come and join us in the Tribe Building Bootcamp. Listen, our guest today is Alionka Polanco. You're going to love her. She is rad. She is young, yet she is wise. Oh my gosh, she has such wisdom. Her energy is very, very powerful. And the theme of this episode is obey your own authority. When she shared that gem during our conversation, I was like, oh, a lightning bolt went through my body. And so I know you're going to get a tremendous value from this episode with Alionka. So without further ado, I will turn it over and ask you to bask in the glory of listening to two leaders talk to each other, me and Alionka, and inviting you in as a leader to say, hey, what are you going to do today to obey your own authority, grow your body of work, help more people? That's what we're doing here on Get Gutsy. Enjoy. Hey, y'all. Here we go. Another Get Gutsy for you. Today I have Alionka Polanco on the show, and I'm so excited to talk to Alionka and just plug you into our conversation. We met a few months back in NYC through our mutual friend Selena Sue, who we recently had on the show, and I really was taken by her energy and her enthusiasm and her confidence and how she's been able to grow her business using her gifts of speaking and connecting in person with people, and then really showing her prospects who eventually become clients that anything is possible when they are working with a guide and someone who believes in them wholeheartedly. So Alionka has a lot to teach you today, so make sure you are just ready to go deep, because that's where we going. Alionka Polanco is a leading life and success coach for powerful women and the author of Beyond Profit, The Successful Woman's Guide to a Meaningful Life, a graduate of NYU, that's New York University's personal life coaching certification program. She believes true success requires courage, which makes her the perfect guest for Get Gutsy. Right on. So Alionka, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. We're going to do this thing. And I will never forget that dinner where we met in NYC at that really cool restaurant. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in Hell's Kitchen. And it was just this amazing evening of interesting people having interesting conversations about how we are serving the world. So I mentioned in your intro, you went through NYU's personal life coaching certification program. How did you know you wanted to become a life coach? How did you know this?
That's a funny question, because I didn't really know. Mm-hmm. So I actually started coaching and I started my business right out of college. I never really worked a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And what happened was I did my master's in education. And in that program, we did the Myers-Briggs assessment. Mm-hmm. So after I guess it was the final semester of that degree. Mm-hmm. And it just dawned on me, I don't want to spend my life doing this. Teaching,
in a traditional school environment, you mean?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Uh-huh. I'm really passionate about teaching. I love being at the front of a room, but just being the traditional 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. teacher, I just knew it.
Teaching the same thing over and over.
I just really knew it wasn't my calling.
Right.
And so I was just doing research. At the time I tested for INFJ. So I looked up different career paths for INFJ, and so it said counselor / coach. And I was not going to go back to school. I was really adamant about that.
I'm done.
But the idea of coach, I had just never heard of it. So I probably spent 3 months, downloading everything I could, watching webinars. I was just what is coaching?
Right.
And the more and more I learned about it, the more and more I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. So I must have graduated, I guess, in May or June. I spent that summer researching, and then in September I enrolled at NYU.
Okay, so you took the summer off, you researched, and you were just, to ensure, what is this thing? Do I really want to do it? You didn't really want to go back to school, but you were willing to go to this kind of school because it was fun school.
Yes, exactly. Well, something that I talk a lot about is obeying your own authority. Ooh. Right? I feel I grew up with I love my parents, but they were really strict, right? We had a lot of rules, and I was always an A+ student. So I had to do a lot of work on my own to decondition myself from following other people's rules and learning to listen to my own intuition and following my own set of rules.
That's
So,
huge
yeah.
what you said. Obey your own authority. And I honestly, I've had this conversation on my podcast a number of times and I'm, in coaching, it's like, oh my God, this is so what it is. But
Yeah.
that all of our stuff, I mean, it's just rooted in childhood. It's just all
Yes.
comes from there. It all comes from our parents, from, people in power, teachers, former bosses, just those who we felt had authority on us, over us, that were like, well, I have to do what they say. I have to follow those directions or those rules because that's the rules. And then when you get to the point going, well, I don't think that those are the rules that I want to be following anymore. That's like the huge wake up call. And what a gift too, that we as coaches, those of us who identify as coaches, that's something that we offer to our people, that obey your own authority. Figure out what rules do you want to be following, what rules have you been following up to this point, and are they working for you anymore? Who
Yes.
created
Yes.
those rules in the first place? Do you agree with them? Do they make any sense to you? Are you ready to rage against the machine?
Right. Well, yeah. And are they still serving you? Right? Because obviously those rules at some point or another did serve you.
Right.
But there's this thing called growth and evolution
Right.
that's happening to us. To me, like every day, I feel like. And so sometimes those rules they just don't even apply anymore.
Absolutely. And I'm at a point in my life, when this episode will go live, I'll be very close to turning 40. And it's like, oh my goodness. And you're much younger than me, Alionka. I remember when I met, I was like, you're in your 20s or something. I was like, girl, this is so good. You're figuring all this stuff out now. And I, especially now, it's like deconstructing it all. I'm like stripping it away. I'm like, nope, not doing that anymore. Nope, I'm not open to that any longer. Not interested in that. And I like, I won't even say I won't have a new choice, but because I do, but I'm choosing to honor that. I am choosing to say, yeah, I'm finished with that. I'm complete. That cycle is complete. I'm going to move into this new realm now, because I think especially when you move into a new decade, it happened for me too when I was turning 30. I was actually, when I was 30, Alionka, that I discovered coaching. It took me it took me that long. It took me that long. I had heard of it before, but I hope they are teaching it more in schools, like when kids are younger, because it is such a wonderful field. And for me, I went to corporate, and I too almost became a teacher. I didn't go as far as you. I wasn't going for a master's in education. My first major was, I was going to be an English teacher. That's what I originally went to school for, high school. And you was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to work out with the whole Monday through Friday. I was like, I think I'll get bored. It's not quite for me. Can't play that game. But it took me a while to discover that this world of coaching even was a thing, like that it even existed. And so once I did, it just opened up this whole nother realm of possibility. And it, those of us who've figured it out for ourselves, we know that this is what we've been doing our whole lives.
Yes.
And we just didn't know what it was called, and that we actually could get paid for it. And once we did figure that out, it was like, oh my goodness, hallelujah.
Oh my goodness. No, I totally agree. And to something you said about schooling, I hope that it I think coaching is becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
And I really think that coaching is the healing modality of the 21st century. Like the way that therapy was in the 20th century, I really think that coaching, I'm getting even warm talking about this. And it's freezing in New York today.
Yeah.
But I just really feel like coaches are healers, right? And I just think that this is what's advancing humanity. And I feel so grateful to be a part of this community and to be a part of this profession.
Absolutely. Well said. Coaching is the healing modality of the 21st century. Boom. So how did you go about building your business in those earlier days for you? Discovered the field of coaching. You join NYU's coaching program. Did you just get clients straight out of the gate? What approach did you take?
You know what's really funny? I
Hmm.
started my business with a Facebook post. And
Nice. Hmm.
I tell my clients this all the time because it's still so funny to me. But I basically, once I registered at NYU, I made a Facebook post that said, "Hey, Facebook family, my career is taking a new direction and I'm going to be a life coach. And this is what life coaching is.
Uh-huh.
And for the first month while I'm studying, I want to offer 5 people free coaching for a month.
Uh-huh.
And in return, I would like feedback
Hmm.
and testimonials."
Hmm.
And I had 45 people apply for those 5 spots, which
Hmm.
was like mind blowing to me. I didn't even know if people would know what coaching was.
Right.
But I did take on 5 clients, and
Hmm.
then of those 5, 4 of them became my first paying
They moved
clients.
into paid clients. How did you make that
Yeah.
decision? You had 45 reach out. Like, was it the first five? Did you have them fill out an application? Go with your
I
intuition? How'd you do that?
I think I had them answer 3 questions,
Hmm.
and in retrospect, I don't even remember. I don't even know what I asked, but I remember I just wrote down everyone's names,
Hmm.
and then I would just start narrowing it down, like who do I think I can help,
Hmm.
or who would like be a challenge for me, and let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I came to the final 5. It was like either or.
Uh-huh.
One, I could help them,
Hmm.
or two, I've never dealt with a person like this,
Yeah.
and let's see. It's a
Hmm.
month trial,
Yeah.
So
It's
so
like an
let's see how it
experiment.
goes.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
4 of them, and this is great. I have a coaching school. It's called Get Gutsy Coach Training School. And this is such
Yes.
great insight for our either our current students or those who will be coming into our next class to say, hey, how can you get it off the ground? Facebook post, put it out there. I'm going to take 5 on to coach you for free for the next month. And then with that heads up, and I want feedback and a testimonial. If you really enjoy our work, then I would love to have that in writing so I could put it out there and spread the word to, my next clients. And then you made the offer to your 5 to say, hey, I would love to continue on with you. Here's
Yeah.
how it would work. Here's the package. And how did you develop that first package where you're like, okay, is it 3 months? Like, what do you price it at? Because that's where, many people just get tripped up. They're like, I don't know how to get clients. How do I do this? So how did you do it?
Totally. I basically the last week
Hmm.
I sent out a survey to the 5 people, like
Nice.
asking them what was good about this, what would you have changed, what would you have paid for this. And so a lot of people were like, this is definitely worth at least $100 an hour. So
Hmm.
I was like, okay. So so I was like, so let's do a 3-month package, $100 per session, 4 sessions a month.
Hmm.
And that's really just how I created that first package. It was
Hmm.
like they told me that this is what
Hmm.
they thought it was worth,
Hmm.
and that's how the first package ever got created. Because I
Nice.
didn't, to be honest,
Hmm.
Jenny, I became a coach out of like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I thought my skill set like would work here.
Hmm.
I didn't know that I was going to start a business.
You just like,
You,
I'll be a coach, kind of like a therapist is a therapist, and
yeah.
they have a practice and they have
Yes.
clients, and they're like, okay, I'll work with you, a certain number of times a month, and you're going to pay me for that. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
so cool that you say that because I'm looking back on my history when I decided I was going to become a coach. And I at first was thinking, oh yeah, I'll get, a certain number of private clients and, serve them because I loved coaching so much. It didn't even feel like work. I kind of couldn't believe that people were paying me to do it
Yeah.
because it was so
I
easy.
know.
I'm like, oh my God, like I can just do this in my sleep. But, eventually I realized because, at that point I didn't have no, I was pregnant with I got pregnant with my first child when I was in coach training. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have kids. And I live in New York, as do you, which is not a cheap place to live. And I
Yeah.
also came from a corporate background where I made 6 figures. So I was like, well, I can't really go back to like not making that much money because I did that in the earlier days of my career. And it's kind of brutal. And I know that attracting money is really aligning up your skills and your offerings with a market who values them. And
Right.
I said, there's got to be a way to crack this code. And I want to help more people than I'm able to serve, just one on one. And
Yes.
I was also finding I was saying the same things to my people. I was saying the same things. It's just funny.
Over and over.
Yeah, over and over again. I was saying the same things. My daughter just cruised into my office.
Hi,
This is
sweetie.
like a real live here. She walks in actually with her. I think she just went to the bathroom and needs help pulling up her pants. She's so funny. She's so funny. This is my girl. This is my girl Kate. Hold on. This is like real life stuff, and this is how we roll here in the realm of Get Gutsy, because this is just totally how it rolls. So yeah, it was just like this whole thing of, you know what? I can do more than this, and but it really just came to me once I started doing the work. And so I think that's just a great message for our people, is like just to get out there and do the work, because once you do the work, you'll get more clear about what your next step is. And you can't like worry right now about like, what am I going to be doing in 5 years from now with this? It's like, just go and do what you're called to do now, and you'll figure out what the next step is.
Yes, I so agree with that. I don't remember who said this, but this quote has just stuck with me throughout my whole journey of being a business owner. And that's that clarity comes from action, not from thought, right? So like we can think our way and we can think our way through branding, and we can think our way through a business model. But until you're actually on the field and like getting data and seeing how it works, you really can't even make informed decisions until you're actually playing the game.
That's right.
And so that, I remember I did a pay what you can at one point, and I had about 23 people in 60 days that I did sessions with.
Wow.
And that's actually how I realized I wanted to work with soulful women, CEOs, business owners, founders, because those were the sessions that most lit me up.
Boom. I love that. So you did a pay what you can. You did a bunch of you worked with a lot of people in that. And what did you do? Like pay what you can for one session? Is that how you set that up?
Yeah, pay what you can for one session. And then I had a really small email list at the time, probably like 90 people, but I kept telling my list, like, I want to serve as many people as possible over the next 60 days. Who do you know who would benefit from a coaching session? This is like before I even knew marketing. I was just like,
You're
I want to
smart
talk.
though, girl. Yeah, very smart.
I just wanted to talk to as many people as possible. And I remember I was just getting into spirituality, and I had just gotten my first angel cards, right? Like a Dorian Virtue.
Yeah, Dorian Virtue. Those are so pretty. I have those. I love them.
And in a few of the sessions, I felt called to pull cards before the session, and then I would tell the person what came up, and then we would do coaching. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm supposed to be spiritual. Like, I think my calling has to do with spirituality too, because this makes me happy, right? Versus just like, I can set goals. I don't have an issue with that, but there's something deeper in terms of like our divinity and our feelings, and my face is getting warm again as I'm talking about this. But that's how I found out, just because I was speaking to people and kind of reflecting after every session, what went well about this, what did I like about this, and then they all paid after their session, right? So then I would also take into account like, okay, how much would this person pay? Because at the time, my network, I've been in New York for a few years, nearly a decade. And so my network was actors, teachers, and business owners, right? Those are my three. Undergrad was acting, grad school was teaching, and then coaching school and business owners. And I just realized I had actors who would pay $10 a session, which no judgment, it really truly was pay what you can.
Right.
But I remember an entrepreneur paid me $150, no wait, maybe $125 or something over $100.
Yeah.
And I was like, they paid me over $100 and it was pay what you can. Maybe I should work with Entrepreneur. Like that. I took a lot into consideration, mostly like, how did I feel about it, and who was valuing the work that I was doing.
Right, right. Who was
Yeah,
valuing the work? Who did you feel like you could really make an impact with? Who did you enjoy talking to? And, you have to look at the sustainability of the business model. It's
yeah,
like one thing to love what you do, but if people are only going to pay you $10 a session, that that's not sustainable, unless you're going to
totally
Hollywood
not.
and you're like, you know what, I'm going to work with actors in Hollywood, who've made it and they're
Right.
like celebrity actors. But it's just like you have to get clear on that. You have to get clear on that. So how did you then start doing these local events? Tell us that because I know you do that pretty regularly.
I do. Well, it all started when Daniela Poor launched her Desire Map licensing program. And I had been following that work for a while. And so when the licensing program came out, I was like, I think I should do it. And so I hosted my first 2-day event in New York. And I just freaking loved it, Jenny. Like there was something, it felt like all of my careers had finally come together, right? It was like the acting part because I was speaking, the teaching part because I was teaching, and then the coaching part because I was coaching. Like it's like all three of my paths came into play in this workshop. And so after that, I didn't remain a licensee, but I was like, oh, I think live workshops is where it's at. And for me, I think I'm pretty lucky in the sense that I live in New York City. So the number of people is not a problem. So
Right.
I kind of, I just really took advantage of that because I love the online world and I think it's awesome. But my heart is happiest when I'm in a room with women talking about business. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's like that just is what lights me up. And so after the Desire Map workshops, I was like, man, I have to come up with my own content. Like how can I Alionkify a 2-day workshop? And before I could create content, I don't know, I just kind of had a block with that. So I was like, well, what if I just gather women and we mastermind? And so I did like half a dozen masterminds for free, worked with probably like 60 women. And I was like, yeah, I think I just want to do masterminds. And so now I do them both virtually and locally here in New York.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
Yeah.
and you also this is a way that you've gotten a lot of great private clients too, right? Like just for these
Yes.
in-person gatherings. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Because what I would do, especially the first one, I treated it more as like a new moon mastermind meeting of like influencers, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
just picked people in my orbit who like I wanted to spend time with, but I really don't have time to go get coffee with everyone anymore.
Right.
Which is actually, side note, also how I built my business for 2 years. I just took a coffee date with every single person and asked for referrals on that coffee date, like every
Good
single
for you,
person.
girl.
And I've gotten speaking gigs from those coffee dates. I do not regret that by any means. I
So
just don't
you
have
were
the,
you were reaching out to people requesting a coffee date, or they were reaching out to you?
a little bit of both.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So it was just like, let's get out and do this. You leverage the location that you're in, which is New York, which
Yeah.
is high vibe. I lived there for 11 years of my life, so I know what New York is all about. And then you really, I love what you said. Like my heart is happiest when I'm in a room with women talking about business. And so you said, how can I be in more rooms with women talking about business? And
Yeah.
you set up these masterminds. This is so helpful. Like with our, I had a lot of coaching students because they've come through our school or they will, and I basically say to them, like listening to my podcast is required assignment for you all because I
I
have
love
such
that.
great, I have these great conversations with a lot of coaches or people in this world of serving people, like copywriters or speakers or authors or experts or thought leaders. And there's so many gems to be gathered when we listen to our story and what we were willing to do, especially when we were getting the business off the ground. And so for you,
Yeah.
you were willing to go on these coffee dates and you were willing to ask people for help. Like, hey, I would love a referral. Hey, I want to help as many people as I can over the next 60 days. So I'm going to do a pay what you can, coaching session. And it's interesting how you set those up because it sounds like they just could, book time, and then after the session, they would tell you, like, here's what I want to pay? Like, is that how you
Yeah.
did it? And did you take the
Mhm.
money from them? Like, you took their credit card details over the phone, or you sent them a link? How
I
did you do
I
that?
think I sent them a PayPal link cuz I
Uh
didn't
huh.
even know you could take a
You're
credit
like,
card
because you were
number
just
over
like, I'll
the
figure it out.
phone.
So they would say, here's what I want, and you'd send like an invoice for that amount.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yep.
So freaking
Yeah.
smart. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so give us like just give us a general overview of what your business looks like now, how you've designed it.
Totally. So I think it all stems from my vision. And I have a vision that women are going to heal and rule the world. Right? So like everything I do is in service of that. So now I have private clients, right? And that's usually reserved for people who honestly probably don't have the time to meet in a group every month, et cetera, et cetera. And so I have just a handful of those, about 5 a year. And then I run local masterminds here in New York City, and those happen once a quarter. And then I run the Big Vision Mastermind, which is a virtual mastermind, and it kind of goes with my live event that's called Soul Clarity and Abundance. Also happens in New York. Basically, my whole life is is in New York. And then something that I love to do, we do it probably every 6 weeks or maybe 6 to 8 weeks, is we run free 5-day mini courses. And for me, that's kind of like a way to give back. Like I know that not everyone who takes that mini course will sign up for my mastermind, but it's like really great strategy, how to run your business or how to schedule your time or how to expand your network, just like different things that are easily implementable that'll actually grow your bottom line. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like the tiers
Mm-hmm.
of how I operate.
Yeah, that's really, really smart. How have you handled the challenges that have come with being a business owner?
Hmm. I think, well, therapy, I do energy work. Like I would say that I have like a team that I can call, right? Like I have a hypnotist that I can call when I need her help, an energy worker, a chiropractor, a therapist. I myself am a part of a mastermind, so I think that's really important. Like I think that when you are holding so much space for other people, you have to make sure that you're being held as well. And to be honest, I think I burnt out probably at some point in year 2 because I was holding so much space for other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I myself, I had nowhere safe to go, if that makes
Right.
sense,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I think when you're in business and you're building like your authority, you don't always feel safe sharing like what's really going on a day-to-day basis. So I think for that, I have my mastermind who I can cry to or I can celebrate with, and I can just be really honest. It's other business women as well, but I'm not trying to impress them by any means. I can just be like
Yes.
the
Real.
fullest expression of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I am absolutely being real with you right now. That's so important to have that, like, that non judgment zone. You can just come in
Yeah.
and straight up say what's up. And me
Yeah.
too, the team, like the therapy, the energy work, the self care has to be at the top of everyone's list. Like, I know we love what we do and we're excited about it and we want to see it grow and we want to touch more lives. But I've been, I trained to become a coach in 2008, and now we're in 2017, so it's been quite a ride, and it feels like a
Yeah.
freaking long journey, but then it also feels like I'm just getting started. But when I've come close to burnout, and many different times in my life, like when I was that corporate exec, and then a new mom, and now this entrepreneur for close to a decade now, if you lose that connection to self-care, if you lose that place of knowing that your worth has nothing to do with how many people just joined your program, or how many
Yes.
likes you have on your Facebook page or anything like that, that if you get those things like tied up and confused, that's where you get into a lot of trouble. And I feel like we have to constantly remind ourselves of that, and then remind our people of that. Is we're all on the internet now. Not everybody, but those of us, especially us coaches, like we're out there, we're on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, or other spots, and it's very easy for this to just like evolve into another version of high school, a popularity
Yeah,
contest. Like how many
totally.
this and that and blah blah blahs do you have, and to forget why we got started in the first place. And so we must come back to that why am I doing this? Why was I called to serve in this way? Why do I want to have a program like this? Is it because I can get, a gazillion people in it? Or is it because I freaking love it? Or maybe it's all of the above.
Yeah.
But to not forget why you started and why you're still here. Oh my gosh. So what are you most excited about as you look ahead?
Mm. I'm excited for so many things, but I'm still like taking in what you just said because I think you are totally spot on with that, Jenny, that we have to like remember our why. And I'm just thinking about how for a long time I was journaling daily and I just today was like, oh my gosh, you need to start doing that again. Because I feel like entrepreneurship is a daily commitment, right? Like it's like you wake up and you have to put that armor back on of like, I'm going to live my purpose today. Because I think that takes courage. Like I think that takes guts.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship is a daily commitment. That's like so massive. Like, yeah, that putting, like that visual of just putting on the armor and suiting up and going, I'm going to do this. And you're going to have some hard stuff that comes your way. You're going to have some people who like challenge you or things that don't go your way. You like, thought this client was going to move forward and they didn't, or this thing came up and you weren't expecting it, or this thing went better than you thought. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's just there's so much personal growth.
So it's the
Ah,
best journey of
ah,
personal growth you could ever do.
Absolutely. That's why I love doing this podcast because I get to have these awesome conversations. I get to work from home. Like literally today is a snow day, and my husband's at the mountain with my boys skiing. My daughter just like
Oh,
cruising here, and you just do it. You do it the best that you can. It's not perfect. I never aim to like really make any of my stuff perfect, and I say that to my people, like, stop waiting to be perfect. Stop waiting until like
oh yeah.
everything is like super clean, and you don't have any background noise, or you don't have any of this or any of that. Just go, and you'll course correct as you go. So yeah, so tell me, what are you most excited about as you look ahead?
I'm most excited that my business and myself, like we're evolving. And so the next iteration is after doing like so many half day events or like full day events and 2 day workshops, I'm doing my first 3 day event. And we're doing it twice this year. So one's in April and it's almost like a test for me, right? Like how does this work? And then in October, we're doing a bigger one. But I'm just really excited because I think I've been dreaming of doing a 3 day event for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's here. It's
It's here. Well, have fun with it. I
Thank
I
you.
had a number of those under my belt, and prior to becoming an entrepreneur, was a conference producer, and like that was my life, was 3 day events,
Oh,
3 day events, and it's so funny. And I give you credit. You're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be a lot, but it's
yeah.
going to be amazing. And if that's how you're called to serve, then it's a fantastic way to do it. You'll connect with your people. Then if you are inviting them in to take the next step with you into something else, then it's a wonderful platform for doing so. After doing that for many years, I got to a point in my business, and I think this is the neat thing, is that your business evolves as you evolve, and vice
Yeah.
versa. And I got to a point where it was like, I'm complete. I'm good there. I want to have retreats that are like built into my premium programs. Like, this is what I'm going to
Oh,
do. And so the people who want to like spend that time with me, and we're going to go super, super deep, like we've already developed a relationship. Like we've been in this program, and now we meet up in these exotic locations because I have a love of travel. Like, I love to see the world.
yes.
And so earlier this year, we went to Costa Rica. My mastermind, I took them there. Later this summer, we're going to Mexico. I'm taking my next group of
So good.
masterminders to Mexico. And so like that's where I got. I was like, you know what? I'm good with like the public event thing. Like, I'm good. I'm clean on that. Like, now I'm ready to go into this new realm and travel with my business and have it be a part of my mastermind. And so
I
it's,
love that.
yeah, but I got there, and so but the 3 day event model eventually got me here. And some people want to be in the
Yeah.
3 day event model forever. Like that's just they
forever.
love it. They're like, this is it. This is like my moment, and it's where you come alive and you feel most joyful. So
Yeah.
I wish you so much love and luck
Oh,
and fun
thank you.
with
I
your event.
thank you. I
Absolutely.
love that, Jenny, because you know something I tell my clients, my audience is like your success is going to be as individual as your thumbprint. Like what I want to do is going to be different from what you want to do, from what she wants to do. Like there are just so many ways to experience success, and it's so individual. Like it's so self-defined. So
Yeah.
I love that yours has evolved into these gorgeous retreats, and I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to go on that journey. Okay, so I want to know first off, how can people find out more about you?
Yeah. Oh, well, I have a special gift for your audience. So if they go to alionkapolanco.com /get gutsy, there is 111 affirmations for abundance for them to like revel in. And that would be the best way to find me and to stay in touch with me.
Perfect. All right, everybody, go there. AlionkaPolanco.com /get gutsy. You're going to grab this awesome gift and start just reveling in the power of abundance and attracting that in and trusting it, being willing to receive that abundance, which is a big part of a part of the work. And honestly, what I find is challenging for a lot of women, especially. It's like the receiving piece becomes a
Yes.
real big, like, what am I allowed, am I worthy of this? And
Mm.
so I love what you're offering our listeners, and I know they're going to take you up on that. All right, it is time for our finale question. I can't believe it, but we're here. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
Mm. I thought about this question, Jenny, and I think the gutsiest move I ever made was when I was 24. I just finished grad school for education. I was actually a scholarship student. Bill and Melinda Gates paid for my education, and it was a really coveted scholarship. It's a 10-year thing.
Wow.
They would pay undergrad, grad school, and your PhD. And at the end of my education masters, I was like, you know what? I know this path is awesome and I know I'm so lucky to have it, but it's just not mine. And so I let go of the 4 years extra of support for the PhD program. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to take a chance on me.
Whoa, that's freaking
Yeah.
gutsy. That is amazing. I'm like, wow. And you released, and I think, what I heard in that, which I have discovered time and time again in my own life, is that just because it's quote free doesn't mean that it's worth it. And free
Yes.
always comes with a cost. It's cost of time or,
Yeah.
energy, or maybe not being truthful with yourself, or just taking something on that you're like, I actually don't want this. And so, wow, what did you go through? Like, how did you know that you could say no, and like, was the process to get to know
Oh man.
excruciating, or was it just like, here
It,
I am
you
and
know,
I'm done? Hmm.
it was almost like creating a new identity, because this is kind of full circle, but I just grew up as a really obedient, straight A, like I was class president, editor in chief of my yearbook, I played sports, I was in the theater club, like I just did everything. And so I think even like saying no to Bill and Melinda Gates is one thing, but like telling my parents that
Right. So you're like,
that I was gonna
yeah.
say no to that,
Wow.
that was I had to learn how to advocate for
Yep.
my deepest needs.
Wow.
And so that's probably what I still take away from that experience. I feel like it's the first time I ever really stood up for my desire. And so I think that's what is still a part of me today, and a part of my work is standing up for what you actually, truly, really deeply down inside want for yourself.
That's just extraordinary. I love that example, and congratulations. And I'm sure it took some courage explain that to your parents because you had said that they had a lot of rules and
Yeah.
you followed them, and then you got to this point where you said, you know what, I'm done with this. I have to honor my deepest desires. And I'm sure that they're so proud of you and they've seen what you've built. And you weren't just like, well, I'm just say no and then I'm not gonna like work for anything. Like, you've worked for everything that you've built. You just radiate joy, you radiate light, and it's obvious. So I know that you have so much further to travel on your journey, and I am so excited for you because that means you're going to touch all these lives and have a ball doing it. Where are you going to have? Is your 3-day event going to be in New York?
Yeah, it's in New York. I'm so excited. And thank you so much for that, Jenny. I receive all of your words. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, absolutely. Where did you find, like, because New York event space is kind of tricky to come by. Where did you find space?
Totally. So there's this great app called Breather, and
Yes.
they have, yeah, it's just awesome. And you can have rooms for as small as 2 people or as big as like 100 people. So we found a space through there that's going to be really, really beautiful and like high vibe. That's what I wanted it to be, like just a high vibe experience.
Yeah, totally. We've used Breather for some events that we've had in New York. Like, I actually, oh my gosh, I don't even think this venue ended up like staying on Breather because we walked in and we were like, oh my God, it was like one of the coolest places. It was this amazing, it was like a hotel in Soho. Oh, it wasn't called it's not the Hudson, or maybe it was like the Henry. I'm telling you, when you
Ooh,
go in, it's near the Bloomingdale's Soho, because I went and got like a blowout at the dry bar. And then I cruised over to the hotel, and I still remember like getting my picture in front, but I walked into the meeting room and I almost started crying because it was so gorgeous. And it was just this like gathering I wanted to pull together because I was in New York for another meeting, and I said, let me just bring together people who want to come together. And I called it Sacred in the City. It was like a play on Sex in the City because I'm all about
love it.
sacred and spiritual. And the event space was just extraordinary. We found it on Breather. And then when I went back a few months later, I did another event, and again on Breather. And so for all you listeners, if you live in, it was a larger metropolitan cities tend to have representation on breather.com, where you can find space to rent by the hour. And so for all you, coaches, healers, creatives, consultants out there, and you want to pull together a group and, do a women's circle, or, just a really cool workshop, or a day of, awesomeness, or whatever you want to call it, you can look at
Yeah.
Breather and find a space and invite people to join you, and either then, offer people to then take the next step into a program, or maybe that is, a meeting for one of your programs. Like, just be creative, but gathering people in person is so smart.
It's a game changer. It really, really is.
Absolutely. All right, girly. Well, good luck to you with everything that you've got going on. AlionkaPolanco.com/getgutsy. Y'all get your hands on her free gift. Alionka, thanks again for being here. Thanks all you listeners for being
Thanks,
here.
Jenny.
Boom.
Thanks, ladies.
It was amazing. This is Jenny Fennig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fennig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Get Gutsy as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Are you responsible for leading and growing your spiritual business? If so, I have a free tool for you that will help you spread your message like wildfire. It's called the Sacred Marketing Puzzle, and it's a one-page PDF guide that simplifies the often mysterious and confusing world of marketing. When you use sacred marketing tools to amplify your message, you'll provide huge value to your tribe and grow your business. What are you waiting for? Go to jennyfennig.com/puzzle to get yours instantly. That's jennyfennig.com/puzzle. Gutsy leaders, unite.